The EOS-7D Mark II has been a favorite amongst Canon sports fans. Its weatherproofing means that it can be used in harsh conditions, and its autofocus system gets moving subjects sharp quickly. The metering system delivers correctly exposed images in a wide range of conditions. Noise is also controlled well. Colors are pleasantly rendered and images have an impressive amount of detail. The newer EOS 90D matches its speed and offers 50% more megapixels, but the EOS-7D Mark II is still worth taking seriously. Technically, the EOS-7D Mark II still looks very effective as a camera for fans of sports photography, thanks to its tough, weatherproof build, 10 FPS continuous shooting, and powerful AF system. However, it is showing its age in other respects, with a fixed rear screen and no 4K video, and one of its twin card slots takes CF cards, which are mostly of historical interest today, while the other supports as SD cards but not as 2. Performance. On the whole, the images and video the 7D Mark II produces look great straight from the camera. It's also capable of resolving an impressive level of detail. Noise is also controlled well throughout the native sensitivity range. But as usual, the expansion settings are best reserved for emergency situations or when images only need to be viewed at small sizes. JPEGs captured at the maximum expansion setting have luminance noise visible at most normal viewing sizes, and some areas appear bruised with green and magenta. Stepping down to the uppermost native setting results in a significant improvement in image quality. When all noise reduction is turned off, ISO 16000 RAW files have a hint of colored speckling visible when sized to A3. Zoom into 100% and this chroma noise becomes very noticeable, but there's still a respectable level of detail, so it's possible to find a good balance between the two in post-processing. At the other end of the sensitivity scale, there's just a hint of luminance noise in some areas at 100%, but images have lots of detail visible. One of the things that impressed us most about the 7D Mark II during our testing is its new 252-zone metering system, which gathers data from a 150,000 pixel RGB and infrared sensor. In the past, we have found Canon's FCL metering system a little frustrating in evaluative mode. It can put too much weighting on the brightness of the subject under the active AF point, so you can end up with badly over or underexposed shots in high contrast conditions. It acts more like center-weighted metering than some other systems. The metering system in the Mark II does a better job of taking the brightness of the whole scene into account. Naturally, there is still some weighting applied, but we found there are fewer occasions when exposure compensation is required. That said, there seems to be a slight tendency towards bright images. Some of our landscapes shot in bright conditions look better when the exposure is reduced by about 1 divided by 3 EV, either in camera or post-capture. The EOS-7D Mark II's autofocusing system doesn't disappoint. It's both fast and accurate, and capable of working in very low light. It's also complex, however, and takes some getting to know, provided that you select the correct AF point selection mode and AFL servo characteristics. It does a great job. We found Case 1 in the selection list a good starting point that worked well when shooting BMX riders in action. In addition, the hybrid AF system, which is available when composing video or still images on the LCD screen in live view mode, is capable and able to find its target, even when you're shooting in quite low light. With an STM lens mounted, there's little back and forwards adjustment, even in fairly dull conditions. Although it's quite a large camera to use held away from your body, it's possible to use live view when hand-holding the camera. Switching from standard to the slowest AF setting in the movie servo AF speed options has a significant impact upon the time the camera takes to focus the lens. Either way, it moves the subject smoothly into focus. If you need to speed things up when using the slowest setting, however, pressing the AF on button gets the subject sharp quickly. Verdict: the Canon Eos 7D Mark II might be quite old now, but it still has bags of appeal to the sports photography enthusiast wedded to the idea of an SLR rather than a compact system camera. The newer EOS 90D is more versatile, with a vari-angle screen, 4K video, and much higher resolution. But even though it matches the 10 FPS frame rate of the older EOS 7D Mark II, it can't match its solidity or its 65-point AF system. Having said that, the appeal of the 7D Mark II is narrowing. If you want a tough, fast, and responsive DSLR for sports and action photography, it's still good. But for just about anything else, there are newer, cheaper, and better alternatives. Canon retained the 7D's magnesium alloy construction for the Mark II, but upgraded its weatherproofing. The camera feels nice and solid, and the shutter has a claimed durability of 200,000 cycles. That's reassuring, but not unusual amongst this camera's rivals. The grip on the front of the camera and the thumb ridge on the back have an excellent textured coating, so they feel really secure in your hand. We found the thumb ridge, which is thinner and more angular than the previous 7Ds, particularly good. Owners of the original EOS 7D will find the EOS 7D Mark II familiar, but there are a few changes to the control layout. There are rate and creative photo buttons, for example, as well as a new sprung selection lever around the mini joystick control. This can be used to change the function of the main control dial in front of the shutter release on the top of the camera. We found it useful for accessing the sensitivity options. Features. Inside the Eos 7D Mark II is a 20.2 megapixel sensor, which is pretty modest by today's standards, though not in the pro sports market. The modest resolution allows faster continuous frame rates and better image quality at high ISO settings, both of which are top priorities for sports fans. To achieve its maximum continuous shooting rate of 10 frames per second, the Eos 7D Mark II has two Digic 6 processing engines. When a UDMA7CF card is installed, up to 31 RAW files or 1030 JPEGs can be shot in a single burst. If you need to shoot for more than 3.1 seconds, the high continuous shooting rate can be set between 210 FPS, while the low rate can be set to 19 FPS and silent mode to 14 FPS. 10 FPS was pretty hot when the Eos 7D Mark II was first introduced, but it's pretty common for cameras in this price range today. And while the 1030 JPEG buffer capacity is great, the limit of 31 RAW files in a burst is pretty low for a dedicated sports camera like this one. The sensor and processing engine combination allows a native sensitivity range of ISO 100, 16,000, with expansion settings going up to ISO 51,200. That's still pretty good for an APS-C format camera, even today. The original Eos 7D had 19 autofocus points, all cross-type, while the Mark II has a class-leading 65 points, again, all are cross-type. This is very good, even today. With f divided by 2.8 lenses, the central point is dual cross-type for extra sensitivity and is capable of operating when lens and teleconverter combinations take the effective aperture down to f divided by 8. It's also possible to adjust tracking sensitivity, acceleration, deceleration tracking, and AF point auto switching options. There are also 7 AF point selection modes. In live view and video mode, the dual pixel AF system comes into play. Videographers will love the ability to slow the focusing down to produce a more cinematic transition. Though without support for 4 Kelvin video, the Eos 7D Mark II is unlikely to tempt many videographers today. Other notable features include dual card slots, an intervalometer for shooting time-lapse sequences, HDR mode, multiple exposure mode, a built-in compass, and GPS to enable image geotagging. Sadly, there's no Wi-Fi connectivity built in, though there is a plug-in Wi-Fi adapter that's now being bundled with the camera in some cases. Pros: weatherproof construction, 65 cross-type AF points, 10 FPS continuous shooting, GPS built-in. Cons: fixed rear screen, 1080p video only 22 MP resolution. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please leave a comment.